Gentleman from Florida, Mr. Stube, you're now recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This past fall, the Social Security Subcommittee held multiple hearings regarding the failure of the Social Security Administration to administer payments to beneficiaries. Commissioner, I'd like to follow up on the last time the former acting commissioner, and I probably won't pronounce this right,
Kijakazi.
I'll let you say that, spoke before us, which was on October 18th, 2023. I'd also ask unanimous consent to submit her testimony for the record from that hearing. Commissioners, you may know the acting administrator provided incomplete, unverified, and misleading data to this committee related to overpayments at that hearing. We were especially concerned that SSA failed to disclose this mistake for weeks after it was first identified and only disclosed it to the committee after being forced to do so pursuant to a FOIA request. This is unacceptable, and it makes me wonder what else is going on at the agency considering the continuous mistakes and the lack of transparency. Are you aware of that interaction?
Yes, sir, I am.
Is she still with the agency?
Yes, she is. She is and serving in a senior advisor position, and she's performing many of the duties of. We don't have an acting deputy, so she's performing many of those duties.
So, has there been any investigation by you as to why she lied to this body and misrepresented the numbers? Is there going to be an investigation as to why it was misrepresented to us what the numbers were?
Congressman, I don't blame you at all for being skeptical, and asking tough questions. But I can tell you from my 90 days of trying to untangle and get to the bottom accurately of the overpayment causes, the numbers of people, separate from the numbers of debts, because some people have more than one debt. Sometimes people have a debt, and then they have a second overpayment.
Well, somebody had to have either
time.
provided her with those numbers that she then misled Congress of, or she knew what the real numbers were and misled the committee because she didn't want to represent the totality of the failures of the administration. So one of those two things happened. And if I was the administrator, why you say no? It had. Okay. All right. Let's go back. Do you agree that she misrepresented the amount to this committee?
Yes, but I don't believe it was intentional.
Okay, so if it wasn't intentional, was it somebody that provided her the wrong information?
Well, and I'm sure when they gave it to her, they didn't think it was wrong either. Congressman, I can assure you in 90 days of looking at this, nobody 5 months ago really had a grasp of what the cause and the effects and the results of the overpayments were. We have a much better grasp of that now, and I would be glad to provide that to you, and we have much more accurate numbers now.
Okay, well, in my exchange with her, she basically said that they're accountable because, and I've already entered the transcript for the record, they're accountable because they hold themselves accountable, which doesn't make any sense. So can you give me a different or more coherent answer about how there will be accountability for mistakes at the Social Security Administration when the mistakes are being made by the people who work there and is affecting taxpayers?
Yes, sir. You know, the agency, and I'm new to the agency, you know, I didn't come up in the culture of the agency, but they have a mantra that their mission is to get the right amount to the right person at the right time. And by and large, we do so. I was surprised to find when we actually looked at the actual number of overpayments and the trend over time, there's not more overpayments than there have been over the last 5 years. But because of the decline in staffing to 27-year lows and it kept taking us longer to catch up with those overpayments, the amount of the overpayments is higher now than it was pre-COVID times. So when we make a mistake, though, this is it might only look on paper like it's 0.5% or 2%, but that's a lot of Americans.
So my question was, are you doing anything to ensure that this isn't happening again? Like, is there going to be consequences for people who work in your agencies who make mistakes?
Yeah, well, certainly. And if they do it intentionally, pretty dire consequences. A number of the committee staff have come to our security staff, and Congressman, I would invite you to come and see how we are improving the accuracy of our data and the sharing of that data every day. And on
I want to shift because I only got 30 seconds left. On page 5 of her testimony, this is the last time she was before this committee, she stated, and I quote, "We intend to publish a proposed rule changing our overpayment recovery waiver rules to streamline processes and reduce burden so eligible individuals can more easily seek debt relief. Our goal is to ensure that overpayment recovery does not unduly burden those in underserved, vulnerable or marginalized communities." And I asked her specifically about communities of color, which is what she was referring to. Commissioner, do you believe that your agency should consider race as a factor in determining benefits?
No, I do not, although I do believe we should always be mindful of the disparate impact of our policies and also of our congressional mandate to make sure that this program, that people have equal access to this program regardless of race,
So you can
creed,
assure
or-
this
or where
committee
they live.
today that someone's race, religion, gender will not be a factor in the overpayment recovery rule that the former acting commissioner referenced in her testimony?
Yes, I can assure you of that. And at the same time, we will be very mindful of not to put up any barriers for anybody to be able to access overpayments. I mean, or rather, the remedy of overpayments not of their making.
My time's expired. I yield back.